There's that number again. We get billions of views on TikTok. My campus tour last fall received 5 billion impressions. Elon Musk is a friend to Israel, so X offers a great opportunity to make inroads on social media. Israel should not sit back and allow its enemies to define her. A recent Pew Research poll showed 53% of Americans have an unfavorable view of Israel. U.S. support for Israel is precarious. A new media strategy is urgently needed. I understand social media as well as anyone in the world. That's certainly true. From my vantage point, Israel has retreated from social media without a fight. How are you going to win over younger generations if you're starting out in retreat? Mr. Prime Minister, stop this retreat. Get in the information war fight. The front lines of this information war are on. There's little Israel-created content. Is that even true? I saw Israel has increased its Hasbara budget by 20 times, which is great news. There's also hundreds of millions of dollars raised by private pro-Israel groups. Some of this money should be directed into creating pro-Israel original content. Next, promote this content on Israel-operated social media channels and websites. Use the funds to start the Israel Truth Network. To sum up, you should consider reshaping your Hasbara department into a political campaign headquarters with narrative experts. Hasbara could be the mothership hosting Israel Truth Network, where the messaging campaign can be created and distributed to pro-Israel groups and thought leaders. Power and technological expertise. The question is whether Israel has the willpower to step up its game. From my vantage point, the status quo is not working. Israel is getting crushed on social media, and you are losing younger generations of Americans. In my opinion, you are losing the information war, which will translate into less political and military support from America. The Holy Land is so important to my life, and it pains me to see support for Israel slip away. Contact me on my private number below if you'd like to discuss this further. Okay. So that was Charlie Kirk's letter, allegedly, to Prime Minister Netanyahu. Now, if the letter is fake, then Candace Owens, please tell us. Candace Owens, if you can hear us, please. If the letter is fake, then tell us. But we are going to have to assume that if Candace Owens goes live tomorrow, and she does not give us an alternative letter, or if she does not dispute the accuracy or the legitimacy of this letter, we're going to have to assume this is real. This is a pretty unambiguous message, and it pretty unambiguously says and indicates that Charlie Kirk supported Israel until the day that he died. This is consistent with other evidence that has surfaced in the past several weeks. If the New York Post is claiming this is the letter, then this if this is real and these were his thoughts and this was his real idea, very clearly he was not breaking with Israel in any meaningful way, obviously. So I'm going to assume that if she does not come out tomorrow, she or Blumenthal or Tucker or any of them, if the veracity of this letter is not disputed within 24 hours, we're going to have to assume that's because they can't dispute it, they won't dispute it because it is real. Now, if the letter is real, what does this tell us about Charlie Kirk? It tells us that Charlie Kirk was the same person on September 10th that he was on September 9th, that he was on May 2nd, that he was in 2019 and before that. To the extent that he was publicly chafing with some of his pro-Israel donors. Why is that? It is because in the past 2 years, the entire world has awakened to the evil doings of Israel. The whole world, and especially the younger generation. What is Charlie Kirk's profession? Charlie Kirk runs the largest conservative campus organization in the country. Charlie Kirk is the face of organizations, college-age students. He has to be on the front lines facing the younger generation that is wicked on Israel. And what do you think they're talking about? What do you think they're asking about? When Charlie Kirk goes and interfaces with the younger generation, as he writes in this letter, and as you can assume even without it, he is being asked about Israel. And it's always been like this, but it's especially been like this in the past couple of years.
We got a live one here, boys. Let's go!
As he claims in the letter, half the questions he's asked are about Israel. Now, as we know, Charlie Kirk and Turning Point USA, like all of Con Inc., is pro-Israel. Daily Wire, Fox News, The Blaze, the Republican Party, the Trump administration, these are all pro-Israel institutions. Turning Point is no different. And Turning Point is part of the same constellation. Turning Point works with all of those. There is cross-contamination and overlap with all of them. It is part and parcel of the conservative movement.
Bond, who's still awake?
Between Charlie Kirk
Yes, sir. I am 51%.
he actually has to face the young people in a way that Fox News hosts do not. In a way that The Blaze, PragerU,
What percent are you?
None of them interface with the young people as much as Charlie Kirk.
60.
Okay.
60.
Roger, roger.
Charlie Kirk conveying to the Israelis that they have a crisis with the young people. Was Charlie Kirk being made uncomfortable? And look, the Zionist donors want him to peddle this propaganda. They get to do that from their mansions in Beverly Hills, their mansions in South Florida, their mansions wherever they reside. And Charlie Kirk is the one that actually has to step into the arena.
Right.
Charlie Kirk is made uncomfortable. He's going to his donors and saying, I can't be expected to do anything. I'll get killed out here. You know, I don't say that to be funny or to, you understand the expression. You gotta peddle this nonsense. So can you help me? Point being, was Charlie Kirk having a legitimate change of heart? Was he a good faith actor? Loves America, was changing his mind, grappling with the donors in fear for his life, trying to do the right thing? Or is he a patron, or rather a client of the donors, being forced to sell crap and being frustrated about it? Wearing his ass on his head and sending to Netanyahu a letter saying, look, man, I love you, I love Israel, I support Israel, I want America to support Israel, but you gotta help me, you gotta meet me halfway, because look, you're losing the battle, and if you're losing the battle, I don't want to go down with the sinking ship. Now, here's why the timeline matters. This letter was sent on May 2nd. A week later, Charlie Kirk reached out to Bill Ackman himself. Charlie Kirk texted the pro-Israel, liberal Democrat, Jewish billionaire Bill Ackman from Wall Street. And Charlie Kirk initiated a dialogue and said, we should do something. And they together planned an influencer retreat in August, which was the subject of all this acrimony. Charlie Kirk made the guest list, invited the attendees, created the schedule, organized it at a hotel, invited many pro-Israel influencers, they debated about Israel, and then they all went to Israel on a sponsored trip. That was a Turning Point event. Now, in the context of this letter, does that not make sense? And Charlie Kirk was negotiating with the Zionist lobby, telling them, listen, I'm a partner. I want to help you, but you're losing the information battle. I have to defend this. If I don't defend absolutely everything, you're attacking me. I'm trying to be part of the solution. So Charlie Kirk is reaching out to Jewish billionaires and saying, let's make an influencer retreat and let's train them in Hasbara talking points. Because that's who was invited. Xavier Caruso, who is unloading cringe pro-Israel was the head of Students for Trump in 2020 and 2024. He was close to everyone in the administration. He was the administration's biggest cheerleader. And they had all the same donors. There was virtually zero daylight between the Trump administration and Turning Point USA. Zero zip. And Trump has always been that way, and Turning Point has always been that way. The only difference is that Charlie Kirk was a bit more of a shrewd strategist, and he actually had to go and face the music. Charlie Kirk going out day in, day out, he was not immune from the reality, which he did not create, which he did not lead, the reality that millions of people are waking up on Israel. And he's coming to campus defending it regardless, and it made him uncomfortable that it was hurting his brand. He reaches out to Netanyahu and says, listen, man, I'm losing this debate. It's an unwinnable debate. You got to help me. Does that represent a change of heart? Absolutely not. Do you know what the real predicament that we are in actually is? It's not that Israel does not have a more competent information warfare program against America. That, as articulated by Charlie Kirk, that's not the problem. Let me tell you the problem. The problem is that Israel is genociding Palestinians and then sending them here. The problem is that Israel is dragging us into a war in Iran. The problem is that by defending Israel's conduct in all of this, we are losing reputation around the world. The problem is this arrangement is guaranteed by an Israeli influence operation on our soil. The problem is they are able to have that because we have dual loyalist Jewish billionaires that were born in America that are more loyal to Israel than the United States. The problem is we have tolerated this because we're an open society. That in a nutshell is the problem. Now, if you're somebody like Donald Trump or Charlie Kirk or Matt Walsh or any of these people, there is no excuse to not be aware of it at this point. I'm hard-pressed to believe they don't see that.
52.
And if you know this is happening, it's your obligation to fight against it.
Yeah, this is his.
The president has the power to stop Israel.
Film.
These commentators have the power to change the conversation. It matters very little if in 2025 you're having a private change of heart that you're telling nobody about. What is the excuse? If Charlie Kirk is writing a letter to the Prime Minister of Israel begging him to assault Americans with foreign propaganda, do you think that's like a good position to have? Glorious Prime Minister, many blessings upon Israel and the Jews. I proudly defend you every day, but I beg you to assault my country with foreign propaganda more effectively. Does that sound like foreshadowing a radical reversal on Israel?
Do I even want to know what that mask is for?
In his infamous interview with Megyn Kelly in August, where he said that he was tired of being called an anti-Semite, did Charlie Kirk say, I'm done supporting Israel? Did he say, I criticize Israel? His words exactly were, if I keep getting called an anti-Semite, you're never going to lose me, he said, but you're going to dampen and deflate your biggest warriors. That was from August. That's the interview where everybody said he was red-pilled. In May, he's begging Netanyahu, please do a better job raping my country with pro-Israel propaganda. In July, he's hosting a focus group. Well, we could criticize Netanyahu, but, we don't support Hamas. We all still love Israel, and maybe we could agree not to talk about it anymore, right? In August, if you keep calling me an anti-Semite, well, you're not going to lose me, but I will be a deflated warrior for Israel. It's very clear what was going on here. And the letter just makes it unambiguous. Every single argument that has been made about Charlie Kirk turning on Israel has basically just been exposed. And the only reason people say you're covering, you're arguing so hard in defense, it's because it is simply not true. It just is not true. And what I think the GOP is doing is they're trying now to bring the Israel critical side into support for the GOP, pretending that Charlie Kirk was some kind of secret martyr for the the anti-Israel cause, when in fact he was not. Every aspect of this theory, from they said Bill Ackman intimidated him, screamed at him, blackmailed him. We saw the text messages. Charlie set up that event. They said Netanyahu offered him a $150 million bribe. They came out and said no one ever said that. It wasn't $150 million. Might have been $2 million. Okay, well that's a big difference. They said he's lying about the letter. In his letter, he was really going hard on Netanyahu. Okay, did you read the letter? Glorious Prime Minister, please. You're losing the information war. Get better at Hezbollah. I mean, come on now. So I am open to any counter argument. I am open to all evidence. If this is not the letter, please show me the real letter. If this is not the letter, please tell me this is not the real letter, and I'd be willing to investigate that. I'm curious where the letter came from. I'm curious what the source is from the New York Post, but I have no reason to believe it isn't real. It's consistent with the rest of what they've produced, which has not been disputed by the people pushing this theory that there was some sort of turn in the works, or that he had to be eliminated because he could not be intimidated or influenced. It just is not true, and now we have the letter. So this past 3 weeks has felt like Bizarro World, the way that people on September 9th, on the morning of September 10th, we knew what he was. We knew what he was about. We knew his positions. We were set in opposition to him. And then it's like he got shot, tragic as it was, and everybody turned upside down, and it turned into he was... I mean, you don't even know what they're comparing him to, like a Pat Buchanan-esque figure, like he was taken out in defense of America against Israeli influence. It is the most strange, bizarre case of mass hysteria I've ever seen. And I don't even necessarily think it's a bad thing that was everybody's gut reaction. I said this on my show last week. At this point, I don't necessarily think it's a negative sign that everybody's first instinct was to blame Israel, even though it wasn't true. I think that's maybe a healthy correction, because of course before you could never implicate Israel in anything, and they were blameless, and they were the eternal victim. So maybe this is like a healthy corrective. But it's been 3 weeks. Now we can be honest. The guy was not about to turn, and this letter proves it. So last thing I'll say, once again, reiterating, if anybody, and for those that say it's a fake letter, why are you pushing this Israeli propaganda? If someone has the real letter or knows this is a forgery, please tell us that information. Share with us the proof, because this would be an extraordinary cover-up if they